It was not a great series opener against the Atlanta Braves as the big three for the Phillies, Kyle, Bryce, and Trey, went 0-for, and it was a big day for some other guys. Marcell Ozuna and Whit Merrifield were sadly looking at you. We're talking about all that happened Tuesday night and looking ahead to Wednesday night's matchup here on PHLY Phillies podcast, coming soon. The Phillies dropped yet another series opener, this time down in Atlanta versus the Braves. It was not a good day, and we've got to get into all that today here on PHLY Phillies podcast. Welcome in to the PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365. You can download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Welcome in. We've got Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington. Unfortunately, we're not coming to you on this Wednesday on great terms. It's not a good day. It's another day, and hopefully it'll be a better day by the end of it. But last night, the Philadelphia Phillies went down to Atlanta, coming off of a series win against the Nationals, coming off of winning at the last 4 out of 5, and we were feeling okay about how this series was going to kick off, wondering if that 6-game stretch versus the Marlins and the Nationals was enough to get the offense going. We have to get into everything. The struggles at the top of the batting order, the struggles with Jose Alvarado, what other options are out there for the Phillies? Maybe there's a bullpen arm they could be eyeing. Who knows? We'll get down on the farm. We'll also start looking ahead to Max Fried, Aaron Nola matchup tonight. But guys, yesterday I know I was tweeting out like, this is just a weird game. It had all the makings of everything we anticipated. We'll get into Whit Merrifield and the post-Merrifield era of the Phillies. But first things first, when you look at how the Phillies went out against the Braves, who have now won 6 of their last 8 games, closed the gap against the Phillies in the NL East race to just 6. What used to at one point be like a 10-game lead in the NL East and a nice, comfortable lead across just the National League in general, now has the worries and the nerves of, can they hold on to win out the NL East? Can they hold on to get a first-round bye? These are all the things that now we're talking about that we shouldn't have to talk about. The Phillies just are not in a good place right now, and unfortunately, one game after having a solid 5-game stretch, one game resets us right back into thinking like, holy crap, should we be nervous about this team in the long run?
Well, as Bo and Zach would say, the team you just beat up on was garbanzo beans. So, we talked about it yesterday. How much credit do you give them for beating up bad baseball teams? I gave them very little because that's what they're supposed to do. Yeah. And we talked about these next 13 days. I was not prepared to say they were back after beating up the Washington Nationals because there's a lot of concerning things on this team. And the reason we talked so much about John Middleton's comments yesterday was clearly internally, they feel as though some things need to be done different. Yeah. Maybe a lineup needs to be jostled. Maybe some guys need to be benched. And Brandon Marsh needs to be benched. Yeah. Austin Hayes had his rehab assignment start last night. Good enough for me. 1 game. You're good. Get to Truist Park.
Come on back.
Get your ass to Truist Park. Brandon Marsh is striking out 42% of his at-bats since June 1st. Mm-hmm. That is an unplayable player. Jose Alvarado is just imploded. We'll deep dive all those numbers, but there's clearly things that need to be done, and they're not being done right now. Now, Brandon Marsh, part of that is injury related, but Weston Wilson is a better option right now. Yeah. You can't continue to let these guys play their way out of it because, Renee, as you said, the reality of the situation is they're the second best record in the NL, and they're 1 game away from playing in a 3-game wild card series. And maybe that's their secret sauce. Maybe they need to feel as though they're better when they're backed into a corner and people doubt them. Hungry dogs run faster, all that BS. Brother. Maybe that's what it is. Because as the bully, once they got to the bully status as the best in baseball, they've been crap.
Yep.
And, I appreciate Rob Thompson's, He's very demure, very mindful, Renee. But
you're all about the trend.
Something needs to change. You can't just keep saying, oh, they're going to come around. They're going to smash. Make Stott and Sosa a platoon. Make Austin Hayes your full-time left fielder. Relegate Jose Alvarado down further. Maybe the offense need to give him some low leverage situations to get in. He can no longer pitch in high leverage situations.
No.
You're just shooting yourself in the foot. So it's at the point now, that lineup from the Braves last night was absolutely disgusting.
Yep.
It was gross.
You didn't even lose to a good team. You lost to a team that is very injured.
Two-thirds of their infield or guys that weren't even on the team as of 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
It's quite bad. So things are bad. The Phillies are nowhere near being back. It's not good.
Yeah,
not good.
You look at the Braves right now, who, as we know, without Ronald Acuna Jr., Spencer Strider, Ozzie Albies, and now Austin Riley, who was the latest to add to that list. You look at that lineup, and yes, it says Braves on their jerseys, but you should be able to go out and steal one. What makes it worse is the Phillies have now lost 9 of their last 11 series openers, which is one of the things that we had talked about as a strength of this team, and yet they've gone back to kind of square one. And I think, to your point, what's frustrating about it the most is, why get to the point of stressful? Like last year, it took them getting 10 games behind the Braves before they buckled up and locked in and were fantastic the rest of the season after an awful start to the year. This year, the Phillies had a tremendous start to the year. You jump out, you're the hottest team in baseball, and it's like you have to, instead of simplifying things and making things easy for themselves, now you're adding all this chaos and stress and frustration, and the vibes are still low. The body language is not great. You look at, I know we'll talk about individual performances, but even just their comments and interviews, this is nowhere near the same Phillies team. Like, how did we get here? Why did we get here? And why did we have to fall so far off? We don't mind a hiccup. We don't mind some struggles. They're human. There's going to be a drop-off. It was hard to maintain that historic start to the season. But this type of a drop-off is just unacceptable when you look at how bad this group has been. We talked about since the All-Star break, but around the All-Star break was when they got rid of Whit Merrifield. So a lot to talk through, but it starts at the top. When you have Kyle Schwarber, Trea Turner, Bryce Harper go 0 for 12, 8 Ks on the day, and you look at the lack of offensive production, the best part of their offense was the heart of their order, which has me wondering, is the heart of their order becoming the heart of this team? JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos, Alec Boehm, the guys that combined for all 5 hits for the team, and the only ones that could help them get on the scoreboard, the only ones that gave you something. Alec Boehm's consecutive on-base streak continues, which, great. We love to see that. It's nice that that's been extended another day. But overall, when you have the top of your order unable to produce anything, you're going out there, you're getting struck out every time you're going through. And you kept hoping that at some point, things would come together. You go out there against a Reynaldo Lopez, and I got to, at some point, dive into the historic numbers that we saw from him yesterday, who struck them out 3 times. I mean, it's just unacceptable to go out and have a day like yesterday when you have an opportunity to extend the NL East margin, to show that last week was no fluke. We're back. We're moving in the right direction. And you have Lopez coming off of a 3-week stint on the IL where he's dealing with elbow inflammation. He had a limited pitch count, so we only saw him go 5 innings. And in that time, you could not get after the 30-year-old right-hander. You get retired 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. And there was no adjustment. It never got better. You just kept hoping. There's no way they can go 0 for in this game. And they did. 0 for 12. And you now have a day where Whit Merrifield actually had better offensive numbers and gave you better at-bats with his triple, his double, gave you better at-bats than all 3 of your best hitters combined.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Baseball's weird, and Whit Merrifield hasn't had 2 extra base hits in a game in over a year's time, and he gets it off of one of the best players in baseball. Go figure.
Yep.
But to the Bryce Harper stuff, our own Bill Matz from the Flyers show was texting me last night, and he kind of had me thinking, and Bill pulled up the baseball reference page. Tyler and I were talking, maybe he's hurt. And yesterday before the game, the lineup was coming out late. I think it didn't come out until 4:30 or 5.
Like 5 o'clock,
And people were like, oh, no lineup. What's going on? And it came out that Rob Thompson said some guys have some wear and tear, and we're going to determine the lineup after batting practice. So it makes you wonder, is Bryce a little hurt? Is he dinged up here? Bill Matz had texted me, is Bryce gassed? It could be one of those two things. Like, he is on pace to have his most at-bats as a Philly during his tenure here. He is coming off a surgery. He's missed some time. Maybe his body is hitting a little bit of a wall, whether it's an injury or otherwise. But he just hasn't been good enough. Over the last 30 days, his slash line, I mean, this basically sums it up. His slugging is .392 over the last 30 days. That is not good. He's hitting .216, .273, .392. His OPS is .665. So I was curious, we talked about Trey and Bryce as MVP candidates for a large chunk of this season, and they were, and that was real. And Bryce Harper was winning player of the month. After the last 30 days, I compared him to some other MVP candidates in just terms of RBIs. Bryce has 11 RBIs over the last 30 days. You're not going to be a World Series winning team with that kind of production from your best player, your most important player. Comparably, Aaron Judge has 25 RBIs over that time period. Shohei Ohtani has 19. Bobby Witt Jr. has 25. Soto has 21. So, these guys that are faces of baseball out there are, you're not performing to their levels right now. And it's an important time of the year. Do I think he's going to return to form? Yes, I do. Still, I'm not overly concerned about Bryce, but it does need to pick up like 2 weeks ago. He's just not been good enough. And I think that's really what it boils down to, offensively, at least. Yeah, you can say Johan Rojas left 5 guys on base last night. Yeah, you can say Brandon Marsh is striking out all the time and isn't playable. Fine. It all, we've had this conversation a couple times, Renee. He is the sun, the earth, the moon, everything in the Phillies universe. And he's just not good enough right now. And that's a tough pill to swallow because there's no solution to it. Yeah. You just have to trust. And I do trust, and I think you trust, and Tyler trusts, and probably most of the people in the chat trust that Bryce is going to come out of it. But they need it, and they need it bad right now.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up of what really is going on with Bryce Harper, because I know we talked about this with Jose Alvarado, and we'll get into more specifically when we talk through him. But I think what concerns me the most about this slump is exactly to your point. You have guys like Bryce, with the amount of injuries that Bryce has had, especially looking at last season, he missed the majority of the start of the year, didn't come out, and wasn't able to play until May. So he had a total of 99 games in 2022, 126 in 2023. And for Bryce to have had back-to-back seasons where you're not playing as many games, obviously, you're missing a lot of time, which now makes you fresher, which is why I also think Trea Turner, by no surprise, when was Trea Turner at his best this season? There were 3 times. Do you want to guess, or do you want to just say what I was thinking?
The month of July, he was on fire.
The month of July, coming out of his IL, six-week IL stint.
Yeah, his home runs went through the roof in the month of July.
Right, so that was one.
April.
The start of the season.
Yes. And now after getting benched. All 3 times we saw really great explosive play. 3 for 3. Boom.
For Trea Turner.
Like I torture myself with this team every night.
For Trea Turner, the best time we've seen him is when he's come off of rest.
Well, Bryce Harper's off of 2 days rest.
But he's that's concerning. Yeah. Then on the other side, someone like Ranger Jose, I know we talked about it, and we'll get into Ranger updates as well. They're also in a spot in this season where they have already maxed and surpassed any of their career numbers of recent years because of injuries over the years. So I think what concerns me is not only are they slumping, but some of your best guys are hitting a wall of whether it's innings pitched or games played that's more than they've done in recent years, which unlike Nick Castellanos, Mr. Everyday, that's used to being an everyday player, you have guys that are now, you're relying on every day that haven't had to do this in 2-3 years, or just haven't had to mentally deal with the routine of doing this for 2-3 years. It's easy to be motivated when you've been hurt and you want to make up for that time you've been hurt, or you've been off and you want to make up for that time for Trea's situation. But the decline of this group, by no surprise, unfortunately, are the guys that have already hit career numbers in terms of games played. How do you fix that, though? When you have to play them, you need them.
This is what happens when you have a core that's, 31, 32.
Exactly. Because that's the thing with JT Realmuto. He's aging.
JT looks like he's come out of it, I think. He's starting to hit the ball hard again. And, Schwarber is having a weird 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
Hasn't really done anything since hitting that grand slam that everybody thought they were back with. And that was not the case. It's very strange. Like, we're living in a world where Nick Castellanos and Alec Boehm are your two most consistent players.
That's why I said I walked away from last night feeling like, is the heart of the order becoming the heart of this team? I mean, 36 consecutive games on base for Alec Boehm. Nick Castellanos continues to make plays. The two of them are the only two guys you can literally count on every single game, knock on wood, to give you good at-bats, to give you steady play in right field and at third base. And that's not your 1 through 3. That's not your superstars. It's great the middle is getting better. And JT, as you mentioned, last night did seem better. But you're not winning games if you can't get something more out of Bryce, Trey, and Kyle. You need them consistently, especially in these big moments down the stretch. Yeah,
hopefully this is never ordinary for the top of the Phillies order. And you know where else it's never ordinary? That's with our friends over at Bet365. They're the best. And if you use code PHLY365 at sign up, you can get $150 in bonus bets credited to your account once you lose a $5 wager. But Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. They basically created and perfected live in-game betting. They have the early payout offers that are the best in sports gambling. Across NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB, they have early payout marks where if your team hits that mark at any point during the game, you get cashed out right there on the spot. You don't even have to watch the end of the game. You can go roll that into another bet because it's never ordinary at Bet365. Every sport should be epic. Right now, new customers just get that $150 bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use code PHLY365, deposit $10, and claim your offer. And then with MLB, the early payout offer is great. If your team goes up 5 runs at any point in the game, you get an instant payout. Parlay and same game parlay selections will be marked as winners. Tuesdays, that was yesterday, they do the bet and get. Wager $50 or more across Tuesday's MLB games and get $25 back in bonus bets. If you wager between $20 and $40.99, you'll get $10 back in bonus bets. They do great boosts. I saw one yesterday, Jalen Hurts MVP odds boosted from plus 1,400 to plus 1,600. For a league where very few people have chances to win the actual MVP, Jalen Hurts is most definitely one of those guys that has a chance. That's a great boost right there. So download the Bet365 app. Use that code PHLY365 when you sign up and check out the boosts and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Maybe the guys right now are dealing with a cold. Maybe there's something going on there. It could be allergies possibly kicking in. Well, if that were the case, they would have our friends over at Rite Aid to make sure to have all the support, guidance, recommendations that they need. And you too can take advantage of all the great things Rite Aid has, whether it's their refreshing drinks to stay hydrated, their snacks and pantry items in their Edo Market, or even their over-the-counter medications that they have for any sort of allergies. Because as it's getting chillier outside, the fall season is rolling in, and with that, it also rolls in plants that cause allergies, such as sagebrush and tumbleweed and pigweed and dust mites and pet dander and fur. For all of you that have adorable cats and dogs, whatever you're dealing with around allergies, right? I wasn't going to say it actually. Rite Aid has all that you need to prepare. They have the insights that you need with their Rite Aid rewards. You can sign up for those emails at riteaid.com/rewards to get those updates on pollen alerts and different recommendations, such as showering more frequently, using a dehumidifier, closing your windows, also giving you over-the-counter options that can help nasal sprays and different decongestants that they have to make sure that you're not dealing with the watery eyes, the headache, the choking throat feeling in your throat, the sniffles and coughing and everything else annoying that comes with allergies. So over at Rite Aid, you also have the ability to get the support and recommendations from their pharmacist. I know we've all had opportunities to have to go in Rite Aid looking for something, scrambling to find medication or something. Don't worry. Their pharmacists have all the insight that you need to provide you with the right advice on which medications and which direction and aisles you should be going. So you can always check out Rite Aid for more information, whether, again, it's checking out their allergy medications, their LO Market, which provides you with some delicious snacks that you can have, popcorns and candies and trail mixes, as well as their refreshing coconut water and different hydrating drinks to keep you ready to go. Especially as we're getting into the fall season, make sure we're snacking, eating. If you need last-minute sunscreen or lotion or whatever it is, Rite Aid always has you covered. All right, so something interesting I wanted to share here as we're transitioning on PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365.
There's not much interesting going on with the Phillies right now, Renee.
I have a conspiracy theory. It just came to me.
Okay.
Because I was looking at the numbers for Bryce, who now is at 109 games on the season. As we talked about, he played just 99 in 2022. 126 total in the regular season for 2023, and he's already at 109. So he's creeping up. The only season, actually, only like 3 of his seasons in the last, since 2017, has he really played more. The other part of this, though, the guys that are struggling consistently. Okay, wait.
Are you saying what I'm hoping you're saying, and that's let's get them on some HGH?
No.
Because we should definitely do that. Tyler,
who has had babies in the last, 7 months?
All of them. They're the horniest team in baseball. They're all cranking out babies.
Except who?
Castellanos hasn't.
Correct.
Bohm hasn't.
Correct.
Marsh hasn't. Explain that one.
I don't know. There's always someone that breaks the rule.
Did. Stott did. Turner, I believe, did.
Turner did.
I believe Bryce also has had a newborn.
Kyle did.
Did Kyle have a newborn as well?
Yes, he did.
Man.
His baby was born in spring training.
So you think their horniness is coming back to bite them?
But who also had family? Who also has had family that now lives with them that hadn't been living with them? Okay,
I don't know.
Okay, I thought we talked about this. You were supposed to know that.
Am I black?
Ranger's and Jose.
Oh, yeah, Ranger's wife and kids.
I'm happy for all the babies and the family that, is in the area. Sorry, I stumped you on that one. I'm not blaming the families.
Forgot about my sweet boy Ranger.
I'm a big family person. I love the fact that they're all growing their families and being fruitful and multiplying and getting their wives and kids to live with them. But conspiracy theory.
So you're saying they should go into training camp mode and live at the hotel away from their family.
Stop having babies maybe for a little while. and just
having a baby is exhausting.
That's exhausting. And they all have newborns. Like Kyle, his baby was born the start of spring training. Zach and Aaron, also babies.
I accidentally just started a live conversation in our Discord channel.
About the babies?
Well, our conversation right now is probably getting picked up by my computer.
Oh, that's fine.
Our show is now in our Discord, and I need to find out how to end it. I'm really becoming a boomer.
We're live on Discord. You opened up a live chat on Discord right now? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
I'm trying to.
It's fine because I was typing stuff, typing stuff on my phone.
We're back.
No, but Aaron Nola is another one. Aaron Nola his wife is pregnant, or did she have the baby yet? I think he had. I can't keep up with all this baby making. The point is, I'm not saying Christopher Sanchez did not have a baby. Christopher Sanchez, not that we know of.
Well, explain him on the road then.
But he's been phenomenal. He's been better than what we expected.
Yeah,
even though he's been bad on the road, he's been way better than we expected. There's only 3 or 4 guys. Did Sosa have a baby? No. Has Weston Wilson had a baby? No.
I mean, has he? I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't think so. I'm just saying. There's been a lot of babies born in the last 7-8 months, or even
it's the baby's
pregnant.
Fault.
It's the babies. Babies are a lot of work, and even as a dad, I know we always claim with nannies and the dads don't have to do anything, but these seem like very hands-on parents. I'm just saying
I understand these guys have
is
big houses and they can kind of escape a little bit more than I can in my house. But when a baby is up and mom is busy and getting it, it's not real sleep.
Too.
It's fake sleep.
Correct. But no, in all seriousness, I don't think that's the real problem. But I just thought it was a coincidence that the people that are struggling are those with newborns.
All right, stop being so horny, Phillies.
Or whose families have recently come in and are living with them. So that could be the other case. The other conspiracy theory is post-Whitley, the Phillies have been bad. And Witt last night, though, of course, showed out and looked good, because why wouldn't you? You're going up against a team that didn't believe in you, and you have a chance to show them that they made a mistake, and that's exactly what Witt did. Witt had his first game, as you mentioned, the extra base hits, his first game with an extra base hit this season. He did not have a single game in the 53 games with the Phillies with more than one extra base hit. Not one in 53 games. The Phillies also had a beautiful 9.5 game lead over the Braves July 11th, when they swept the Dodgers at Citizens Bank Park.
Amazing.
Remember it like it was yesterday. Today is August 21st as of this conversation. So in a little over a month, as a team that was on pace to win 106 games, they've now squashed that tremendously, and we're hoping they can at least get to like 95. And then for Witt, who had batted 199 with 3 home runs, 11 RBIs, and a 5.72 OPS in his 174 plate appearances, then turned around last night and was phenomenal. Naturally, of course, a triple, scoring, a double, a walk. It took until Max Lazar before somebody could actually strike out Whit Merrifield. And Whit Merrifield post-game made sure, I thought he was respectful with these comments, and it was accurate. We all expect this to be a breakout series for Whit Merrifield.
He wasn't accurate.
And
he said the team told me I wasn't good enough. But you weren't good enough.
Let's hear what Whit had to say himself, though. Tyler, roll the clip. Oh. Oh.
I'll just cut it if we can't.
Take 2.
For you personally, you face your former team for the first time since becoming an Atlanta Brave, a triple, double, a walk, a run. You do it in an excellent manner. How much do you relish the opportunity to contribute that way?
Well, I mean, it is just it's another game. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel good, to play well against a team that, told you that you weren't good enough to play for them. So, it's whether that's, I wasn't playing very good over there, so it might be true at the time, but, it's nice to play well against your former team. But I do love those guys and wish them nothing but the best, just a little bit less than the best when they play the Braves.
Is this a case of Al Horford? That's a good point. AC Phils is bringing up in the chat. The Phillies are 13-19 since they released Merrifield. And then he signed with the Braves July 22nd. Now, a lot has happened in that stretch, and it's been bad baseball. It's been 9 series openers that they've lost in their 11 series since Whit Merrifield's departure. And they've dropped all except for they split one series, they won the series against the Nationals, and they beat the Dodgers, So of those 11 series, they have 2 series wins, a series split, and they've lost the rest. All since the departure of Whitley.
It's the worst National League record. Bad. Again, just say that out loud. Everybody in the chat, say that to yourself. The Phillies have the worst National League record since releasing Whit Merrifield. I am sure it's a coincidence. I am not saying it's the reason.
Just like the babies are a coincidence.
That's how bad the Phillies have been since they moved on from Whit Merrifield. That is truly hard to comprehend. I know there's been some injuries mixed in there, but the Braves have had injuries.
They have?
I mean, the Miami Marlins have a payroll of like $12 million. They have Jake Berger and a bunch of fake backyard baseball players. Like,
hey,
that's
Pablo
not
is
an
good
excuse.
in backyard baseball.
Yeah, Pablo Lopez? Pablo Sanchez?
Sanchez.
Pablo Lopez is a pitcher. It's really bad. I mean, it's... I can't hear Rob say, they're going to come out of this. They're going to hit their way out of this. I just can't do it anymore. This is a bad baseball team for 2 months now. Like, really bad. And, I'm worried. I don't know if there's... I do think Bryce Harper's going to turn a corner. But I'm worried about this team. The bullpen has me shook.
Yeah.
The bullpen is... I don't know who these guys are anymore.
I know.
And I don't think any offensive surges from Bryce and/or Trey and whoever is going to mask what the bullpen is giving you right now. Because another Zach Wheeler gem was wasted last night.
Yep.
And that was wasted because of the offense. But the bullpen, like, Jose Alvarado, this is from Matt Gelb's story. We'll dive into Alvarado now since it's kind of on the subject here. That was the first time a Phillies pitcher has walked 4 batters without completing an inning since Dustin McGowan in 2015.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, this is, like, beyond shitty. This is terrible.
This is bad.
And this is one of your 2 high leverage guys. And Estevez, since he's been here, has been okay to me. Jeff Hoffman and Matt Strahm have also struggled. I mean, their ERAs since the All-Star break are north of 5.
Yeah.
This bullpen is falling apart. And the extremes of this team are putting my brain in a pretzel.
I know. Well, the timing of Witt's release.
There's no middle ground with this team.
Was also
July
around
12th.
So around that time of they had just come off sweeping the Dodgers. Whit Merrifield was definitely struggling and awful.
And
he
by
wasn't
the way,
helping
Whit,
in any way.
Stunk here. They didn't tell you weren't good enough. You weren't good enough. But
and
enjoy your moment.
He did say he was not good here, and he's been better with the Braves. And around that time, think about it. It was when Kyle was coming off of the groin injury. We didn't have him back yet. Bryce Harper was coming off the hamstring injury. And remember, we were like, he was trying to get back for the Dodger series. Trey had just came back from his hamstring injury. JT was still out. Ranger, I believe, the very next, because against the A's was when he went down with the back injury. Him and Zach had the back spasms. That was around the time of the influx of like injuries that we started to really see. And then, of course, it was then the All-Star break after the awful A's series. And from there, it just has continued to snowball and get worse. But as you mentioned with the bullpen, since the All-Star break for Orion, Jose, Matt, and Jeff, all of their ERAs are above 5 in the stretch after the All-Star break. You do have a guy like Carlos Estevez, who you brought in because of his streak of saves, who's now been blowing saves. A couple of saves that he's blown in a short time. You have Matt and Jeff giving up late runs. You have Jose, as you mentioned, with those 4 walks, walking in a run. I mean, it's just...
He can't throw a strike right now to save his life.
And on top of that, I know Tyler and I talked about it on Monday. The biggest concern with the bullpen is actually similar to what we just talked about with Bryce. You have guys, let's peel back the layers here. You have Orion Kirkering, who obviously this is his major league max because last year he came in September.
He threw 8 innings last year.
You have Jose, who has been dealing with a lot of... This is the most innings he's pitched in years. He's already maxed out his numbers. You have Jeff Hoffman, who at one point was throwing bullpen practice with Bryce to get him back from his surgery. He's maxed out. Like, you also are taxing your bullpen because of how bad the starting pitching has been with injuries, because of how bad the offense has been. We've had bullpen games. We've had openers. We had Orion opening for Colby Allard. Like, you've had to lean on the bullpen so much more, and the bullpen's broke. Like, right now, they are taxed out. They are done. I think what needs to happen to get the bullpen back, we saw last night Zach Wheeler in his 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, did give up 2 runs, including that home run to Marcell Ozuna for Marcel's 37th of season. Bleh. Only helps my fantasy team. But
I can't
Wheeler
even fault Zach Wheeler for challenging
No, you can't
him.
because Wheeler was good. And
he wanted to go after him.
So in all 10 of his games as a Philly in Atlanta, he's allowed 3 or fewer runs and gone at least 6 innings in 9 outings. He's been the one consistent starter that you can count on to get you 6-7 innings. You need more of that. Aaron Nola tonight, you need that. Christopher Sanchez, you need him to continue. He had a complete game in his last outing, which was phenomenal. You need that to continue. You got to get Ranger Suarez back this weekend. I think what will help the bullpen is you need your starting pitchers to start getting back to 7 innings, 6-7 innings consistently. And you only have to go to, 1 or 2 bullpen arms versus having to roll out. By the 4th, 5th inning, you're now calling on Jose Ruiz, and then you're calling on, Jose Alvarado, because Sir Anthony Dominguez has been great with the Orioles right now. And now I'm like, dang, he looks fantastic. And we have over here Jose Alvarado, who was one of the guys we were counting on, that has been struggling tremendously. So I hope that the Phillies are able to get their starting pitching healthy by the return of Ranger, get Aaron Nola back, and I think that would tremendously help with the bullpen overall. Kind of being able to settle back in. They need some time off as well to get back. Maybe they need a good night's sleep. You know where you guys can get a good night's sleep? That's with our friends over at Sleep Healthy PA. Sleep Healthy PA is the place that is working to stop the snore. And it might be just an issue they're not sleeping well, whether it's because of babies or because of snoring or all the above. And at Sleep Healthy PA, they're committed to helping Philly residents get solutions that can help long-term to rest well and improve your health. And what causes things like sleep apnea? Well, it's that choking point. It's things that when you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel like you can't catch your breath. Dr. Andrew Cohen, who's board certified in dental sleep medicine, and his staff are actually working to provide solutions around sleep apnea by working with you one-on-one. Their team of physicians are going to get first class care. They're going to meet your needs by providing you with some of a great opportunity around a 2-hour initial exam that is split into 2 sessions. So you do information gathering, getting your medical history, getting your imaging. You also then review the results and get some recommendations in that second session. So when you let them know that us at PHLY sent you, you're going to actually get 15% off of that initial workup. And that 2-hour process will get you a nice 15% off of that process. Because Dr. Andrew Cohen and his team want to make sure you're getting a good night's rest. You're feeling great the next day and ready to go out and tackle the world, ready to go out and pitch a good game, give us good at-bats, whatever it may be that you're trying to accomplish the next day. With our friends over at Sleep Healthy PA, they can help you start your day off on the right foot with a better night's rest. So if you are experiencing sleep apnea and you're looking for a custom solution to stop the snore, you should reach out to Dr. Andrew Cohen at sleephealthypa.com or call 215-337-2501. Again, let them know that PHLY sent you, and they can help, whether it's with the clunky CPAP machines, the sleep apnea that you're dealing with, or even just not getting a good night's rest. Our friends at Sleep Healthy PA can help you get a better night's sleep.
You can also probably get a better night's sleep if you become a diehard here. No, probably not. But that's Dr. Andy's department. But we can give you some fun and excitement here at PHLY. And everybody that's become a diehard over our first year of existence, we thank you. And we'll see you in year 2. You can get a 20% discount on all merchandise. You get an invite to our Discord. We got fantasy football leagues and baseball leagues going on. And we have great events that you can get discounts to. And coming up, we have a couple great events, including our watch along tomorrow during the game. So you can watch us freak out when the bullpen comes in live alongside the game. And that is going to lead into our watch party next Thursday, the 29th, at Top Tomato in town. There's the photo that will never seem to leave me alone. Starting at 6:30, we're going to do a pregame, a watch party there, a postgame, and guess what? $1 Miller Lights and $1 hot dogs. We're going to be giving away Phillies tickets, some merchandise and memorabilia, but you have to RSVP to be eligible to win those. You just head to allphly.com/events. And coming up, we have an Eagles game. I don't know, week 1 of the NFL season, kind of a big deal. Well, the Eagles pregame and watch party is going to be happening at the Tradesman in town, and you can get a discount as a diehard member on a ticket to that, which includes 3 free drinks, unlimited buffet, tons of great stuff going on. So we got a ton of awesome stuff happening here at PHLY. And if you want to support us, you can head to allphly.com and become a diehard and get some of the best written content on the web. Thank you, Tyler.
Oh boy!
Where we left off before the break was bullpen discussion and how bad it is. I'm at the point where I'm probably considering Hector Neris more than I should. His numbers this year are not good. His whip is not a career high, but it's the worst in 4 seasons. His strikeout rate is at an all-time low. He was kind of miscast in the Cubs world as the closer. He is not a closer. He is most likely a low-leverage guy. He can't go multiple innings. So if you're comparing him to like a Jose Ruiz, the Phillies will probably choose Ruiz because he can go multiple innings. But what Hector Neris is a veteran with a lot of big game experience. Maybe coming back to Philadelphia can kind of spark him back to life a little bit. But here's some of the numbers, courtesy of Tyler right here, from Hector Neris. He was DFA'd by the Cubs the other day. Is expected to catch on with a team. So it's basically free real estate for you. You're taking a waiver on a guy late in the season with big game experience under his belt. This year, he's got 44 innings pitched. He's 8-4 with a 3.89 ERA. That ERA you can live with. Opponent's batting average 247. Not ideal. His whip is what's concerning. He is going to walk guys and put people on base. 1.523 whip. His 46 Ks. His Ks per 9 rate, I want to say, is the worst. Let me see here. Strikeouts per 9. It's the worst of his almost career. He's at 9.4 Ks per 9 right now. As a rookie in a second year, he was at 9.0 and 9.1. Ever since then, he's been above 10. So it's pretty bad. It's his worst in a while. As Tyler points out, his hard hit rate, 44%. Not great. And his whiff percentage is down. So I'm not saying you explore the idea of Hector Neris because he's going to salvage the season and right the bullpen, but he is a guy that's a vet. Occasionally can have some stuff, but as Jim Salisbury said yesterday, if he's Hector nervous and comes in and isn't throwing strikes and is putting guys on base like Jose Alvarado is, then there's no point. And that's what the analytics and Dave Dombrowski and Sam Fold and the R&D department is going to explore, because I'm sure, it's free, like it ain't going to cost you nothing.
No.
So do you consider it at this point? I would consider it. And I think that, Tyler, you didn't have to show us that.
Well,
that's not good. There's his MLB savant kind of numbers. Blue is bad.
Yeah.
Red is good. I see no red. I see a lot of blue. Not great.
I mean, the concern for Hector Neris, 35 years old, was signed to that 1 year, $9 million contract. And he had, for this season, the bigger issue for him and why he was released and what reports are indicating is because of his vesting player option that would have kicked in had he reached 60 appearances or 45 games on the season. He's only appeared in 46 games right now, and he's finished a game 33 times. His numbers have not been what they were with the Astros. As we talked about, he's blown 5 of 25 saves. He's got a walk rate of 13.3% and a strikeout rate of 23.1%. And his numbers this season have definitely dropped from what they were with the Astros. And he's still, with all that, as we talk about, I mean, a 3.89 ERA is solid, but he's had such an up and down season with the Cubs right now. And they essentially were trying to avoid having that vesting player option kick in. So because he's been released and DFA'd, I think there's no hurt in at least exploring if he would be a good fit for the Phillies, because why not? The bullpen's been so taxed. You could use a shakeup. We do know for Hector Neris, between his time with the Phillies and the Astros, he actually combined for a 3.12 ERA in just shy of 300 innings pitched between the two teams. And his 50 saves, 30% strikeout rate, 9.6 walk rate, 40% grounder rate. He was better then, and something has changed since joining the Cubs. It just hasn't been a great fit for him, and I think sometimes that happens. You plan, you look at all the numbers, and sometimes a guy is just not a good fit. So for the Phillies, if they had a chance to get Hector Neris to get more along the lines of what you saw with the Astros, I think it could be absolutely a good opportunity if you are using him for more of that middle leverage situation. You don't need him to be a closer. You don't need him to be a high leverage.
Only.
Yeah, like low middle, I think makes sense, and it could help maybe take some of the pressure. Jose Ruiz has been that low leverage guy. It was even Junior Marte for a little while before he was sent back down. So I think Hector Neris could be that guy to help fill in some spots, because it's obvious that the Phillies are needing to bolster their bullpen still, even with the addition of Tanner Banks and Carlos Estevez.
Tyler, would you? I understand it's not going to fix. This is all into the context of Hector Neris is not fixing everything.
This is one of those things.
This is just another arm.
24 hours ago, I probably would have said hell no, and now I say probably no.
So real quick,
it
to that point,
swung me in a different direction
because of I'm kind of in the same boat. Hector Neris's whip is 1.573 on the year. Jose Alvarado, since the All-Star break, is at 1.75.
Oh, it's been bad too. Like Alvarado's not been good since the All-Star break either.
Get to this place mentally.
But I will say this: I think the last 2 years of of Hector Neris, it's kind of weird when you look at the numbers, because like
his ERA was good last year.
His ERA was awesome last year. It was a 1.71 ERA, and then but like the other stuff was lower, like his strikeout per walk was 2.5. 2022, his ERA was much higher. It was a 3.7 his first year in Houston, but his strikeout rates were higher. He wasn't walking a ton of guys. But to put it into perspective, I think both in 2022 and 2023, he was good. He was good in the playoffs in 2022. In 2022, he had 7 innings pitched. He struck out 9. He faced 20 batters and struck out 9 of them. He allowed 2 hits, 1 earned run. It was a home run in the ALCS to the Yankees. He was really good in the playoffs in 2022. Very good in the ALCS against Texas last year. He pitched 5 times in 7 games in the ALCS. Gave up just 2 earned runs. Struck out, only struck out 3, but only gave up 3 hits. Last year, he was quite good as well. I wanted Hector Neris in the offseason. I thought Hector Neris would have been a nice piece to.
What did he go for? Like $7 million?
I think it was $9 million. $9 million for 1 year. I think I probably would have considered that kind of money. Now at this point, the walk rate's up, the whiff rates are down, and it's not just whiff rates on a particular pitch. It's a whiff rate on every pitch. His strikeout rates are down. Therefore, obviously, his strikeout per walks are down. The whip is way up. He's given up 41 hits, but he's also walked, I believe, close to 30 this season so far in the 40-some-odd innings he's pitched. 26 walks to go with the 41 hits. I don't know if I'm comfortable, despite the fact that this bullpen's been bad over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I'm comfortable with adding another guy who, even if it is middle leverage situations, is struggling to command the strike zone and is struggling to get swings and misses this year. I'll be honest with you. I know people immediately are going to go, yes, bring him in.
I don't think it's that.
I think I'm out.
I think it's worth at least considering.
I think the answer is no for me.
I think the point is that we're all getting to, like, the numbers we saw with the Cubs were not great. However, when you have that 1.71 ERA in 68 1/3 innings for the Astros, including in that time a 2.19 average on balls in play and a 90.5% strand rate, you saw much better productivity from him. Also, even in the playoffs, as you were just alluding to with the numbers, Tyler, that he is a guy that has postseason experience. Of course, the question comes, if the Phillies were to even pick him up, he wouldn't even be able to pitch in the postseason, correct?
Yes, no, he could. He has 10 more days to be on the roster.
Okay, so
by September 1st, he will be playoff eligible.
So they would have to make the move within the next 10 days by September 1st in order for him to be a playoff eligible player. He does have that postseason experience, and it is time to start shifting towards getting ready for the playoffs. I mean, right now where the Phillies are, I'm not confident heading into the playoffs, regardless if they have to play in the first round or not. This team right now is showing us and has been showing us there's still some holes, whether it's Brandon Marsh, whether it's the bullpen. There's still areas for concern that need to be figured out.
Yeah, the only reason you would do this is if you think you can catch some lightning in a bottle.
Right. That's a great point.
I mean, that's really...
Well, you're playing with hope. And hope's not a strategy.
Yeah.
You're hoping that a guy could round back.
But the alternative is what?
It's free hope.
I was going to say, because
that's what it is. You'd have to drop somebody from the roster, but like you can get around that stuff somewhat. You're not going to lose anybody major. Yeah. It's hope. And that's where having the worst record in the National League since July 12th, it walks you to that water. And do you want to take a sip of hope? It's not a strategy that's going to make you feel great, but you might, maybe the R&D department goes, well, on the road in National League, I don't know. Maybe they see something with one of his pitches that they think they can get. You're hoping you can catch lightning in a bottle. So the only reason it's worth contemplating is the playoff experience, and 2, your familiarity with them, and 3 is that it's free. And
I would never have pushed
for
for them to trade for him. I mean, we were talking about him in the offseason as an acquisition, but he's not someone that I would have said, like, oh, grab him before the trade deadline or anything. But now that he's been released by the Cubs, I think it absolutely is a deal that could make sense, that doesn't require you having to lose much of anything. And you could at least see it is hope. It's not guaranteed, but there's potential there to at least be able to add to a bullpen that's absolutely, as you guys are saying in the chat, John Peace and Bailey. Yes, the bullpen has been overused, and that's been the consistent thing I know we've talked about. That's the reality. They're stretched thin, and they need some more arms. Tanner Banks has been helpful because he can at least, pitch a couple innings, but they do need somebody else that can be that low leverage, middle leverage guy. before you have to, go to your high leverage bullpen arms. So that being said, tonight is a new night for the Phillies to hopefully give us some optimism.
Woo, Aaron
as we start
Nola
to look ahead,
with the series
it is
on the line.
a matchup of
What's the
two
worst
guys
that could happen?
that have not won in over a month. You have Aaron Nola, who comes in 11-6 with a 3.45 ERA. He has not won. He has not won a game if wins and losses you want to count since July 11th. Max Fried, who's 7-7 with a 3.62 ERA. He hasn't had a win since June 23rd. Here's how the matchup breaks down for these two. Nola actually just had his best, what we can consider one of the best starts we've seen from him in some time against the Nationals in his 6 2/3 innings. It was also his deepest start since June 29th. So as we talk about needing the starting pitching to get back to 6+ innings consistently, the last outing against the Nationals was the deepest start for Aaron Nola since June 29th. And in that game, it was also his first start where he hadn't allowed a run since June 5th. So there's some optimism for you because you need Aaron Nola to be your number 2. You need him to be better. You need him to be more consistent. So it was great to see that he was able to accomplish some feats in that game versus the Nationals. But of course, now you're going up against a much different Braves team, and that's going to be huge. He's had 35 career starts against the Braves, the most against any opponent, and he has a 16-11 record against the Braves with a 3.61 ERA, and he has started twice this season already against the Braves. The loss of, as we remember, March 30th to open the season after allowing 7 runs in 4 1/3 innings, and then July 5th in a win where he had just given up 3 runs in 6 innings. On the other side for Max Fried, he's lost his last 4 decisions. This is in 3 starts since returning from the IL because he was dealing with left forearm soreness. He's allowed 13 runs in 13 2/3 innings. In his recent outing against San Francisco, he allowed 3 runs in 5 1/3 innings with 5 strikeouts, 3 walks. So for Fried, he has been somebody that's, as of late, hasn't been pitching well. Another opportunity for the Phillies to get after a pitcher. Let's see if they can do it again today. They haven't been doing great with that. But against the Phillies, Fried has a 4-5 record, a 4.17 ERA. And he lost on July 5th where he allowed 5 runs on 11 hits in 6 innings. So Max Fried, Aaron Nola, we've said it time and time again. Zach Wheeler's been great setting the bar high. We saw him have a good performance yesterday. Can Aaron Nola follow that up? Because it wasn't Zach's fault as to why the Phillies lost. It was the fact that the offense did not give any run support. Can Aaron Nola do enough in his department to get more than 6 innings, minimize the damage, and allow the offense to hopefully have something to work with versus a struggling out?
Yeah, I was curious when you were going on about him because last year he was bad up until around this point. Mm-hmm. So I just pulled up his game log from last year, and it was actually August 20th, or excuse me, it was September 20th was when he really kicked it into gear. Yep. But it was late August where he started getting better, and then he hit an early September hiccup, great at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. He was struggling last August in the beginning of the month, the 4th, the 10th, the 16th. He went 5 innings, 5 innings, 5 innings, and then he kind of turned a corner on the 21st, which is this exact time of the year. 7 innings, 7 innings. Then beginning of September hit a blip again, but rounded into form and ended up having a 2.35 ERA over the playoffs. So Aaron Nola, yeah, we need you. You can still lose games when Zach Wheeler throws a gem for you, but Aaron Nola has to go out there. Today, unfortunately, Tyler kind of said this either in a tweet or before the show. These guys, the pressure's tight. They basically, with this offense right now, feel as though they have to go out there and shut the other team down. And look, you paid Aaron Nola to do just that, but it's the time of the year where you really need him to go out there and do it. Yes. So it's unfair, but this offense is so bad right now, Tyler, that Aaron Nola has to be kind of great tonight.
Well, Zach Wheeler was made to feel perfect last night, and that's not the first time that he was made to feel like he had to be perfect. Zach Wheeler pitched really, really well yesterday.
He did.
And did not get any help from his offense. I'll be honest with you. I thought Zach Wheeler threw probably 2 bad pitches all night, like bad pitches. And he missed his spot. Ozuna took advantage. He crushed the ball to dead center field. And that was one of the 2. The other one was, I don't think it was a tremendous pitch to Whit Merrifield that he served up the other way down the line and ended up with the triple. And oftentimes your bad pitches don't always come back to haunt you. Unfortunately, in this case, they did for Zach Wheeler. But Zach Wheeler was really good yesterday. And this has happened quite a bit for Zach Wheeler over the last couple of weeks. Well, you can even go back to the Seattle start where Zach Wheeler, that was probably Zach Wheeler's best start of the season, was against the Mariners.
Yeah.
And he left that game after 8 innings, and it's 1-0. He had to be perfect in order to manipulate a win and to drive this team to a win. When the offense goes cold, like they have for a bulk of the last couple of Zach Wheeler starts, or some of Zach Wheeler's last starts, I shouldn't say all of them. When they go cold like that, you basically as a starter have to feel like you're perfect. It's so hard to play that way.
It is hard, but that's the reality of the season. Like, as much as we complain about all the frustrations of this team, what has been helping the Phillies be successful this season is their starting pitching. From day one, we remember Zach Wheeler was 0-3 at one point and was actually pitching really well, but had no run support. We remember when Aaron Nola had the rainy game in St. Louis and the awful game against the Braves. Like, once the starting pitching got right after that first Braves series, especially, they have literally been winning games. Complete game shutouts and all the things that we've seen from their top 4 is what was the difference to help them get going. And then eventually the offense got, finally the bat started to roll, and finally we started to see them scoring runs and not leaving runners stranded. So to reset the tides, it has to start with the starting pitching again, in my opinion, because those are the ones that it's the trickle-down effect. If you're holding teams, this is like common sense, but you're holding your opponents to minimal damage, no runs, 1 run, maybe 2. You're giving the confidence to your offense, which was what we saw. The Phillies were notoriously scoring first. That was because of the starting pitching. The starting pitching was holding off opponents, keeping them scoreless, and then it would be Alec Boehm or Bryce or Kyle, someone coming through to get them on the scoreboard first. We also saw the 6, 7 innings, 8 innings, sometimes complete games that led to you didn't have to use your bullpen often. So my thought process, if this team is going to win their first division title since 2011, and they're going to go out right now, they are tied with the Brewers at 73-52. They're 1 game behind. Well, they're a couple actually behind the Dodgers, who are 75-52. So they're chasing the best record in the NL. They're still chasing to secure that first round bye. There's a lot of work to be done. And I think it starts tonight with the starting pitching. Again, if Aaron Nola can get you 6+ innings, I think that has me feeling good. I know we're not live again until tomorrow for our watch along. We'll be doing an in-studio pregame, watch along, postgame. But as we wrap up, guys, for our friends on Twitter, YouTube, those that are tuned in on Roku, our diehards that we appreciate so much, let's get some score predictions. Why not? Let's get some I know, Jamie.
Can I pass?
Oh,
no, thank you.
Oh my gosh,
this
guys.
Offense doesn't make me want to do any predictions right now.
I mean, it could be a bad prediction. You don't have to give a positive
I don't
prediction.
feel good about tonight.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
4-2, they lose.
Oh.
So Max Fried has given up 3 earned runs or more.
That means he's going to be great tonight.
4 times in his last 5 starts. He gave up 3 against San Fran over 5 1/3. He gave up 4 against Colorado and 5. He gave up 5 against Miami and 3 1/3. Gave up 5 against the Phillies the last time he faced them.
So 7 scoreless tonight is what you're saying.
4 out of the last 5 times he's given up at least 3 earned runs.
8 scoreless, you're saying? You're saying complete game shutout.
12 scoreless.
12 innings?
And they win 6-0.
Is that legal? But that's where we're at right now. It's like, well, Whit Merrifield's going to go 3 for 4. Max Fried's going to go 9, maybe 10 innings scoreless.
He's been hit around a little bit over the last 5 starts. 5 hits, 7 hits, 5 hits in the 1 game he pitched well. 11 hits against the Phils the last time that he faced them. But the strikeout numbers remain high: 7, 6, 9, 5. I expect a decent strikeout game for Max Fried. If they don't win this game tonight, I'm going to be in a little bit of a worry.
If Brandon Marsh sees the field tonight, we riot.
Oh, wow. Well, there you have it, guys. We're going to be possibly riding because we might see Brandon Marsh. We don't, of course, know the official lineup.
There's no reason not to play Weston Wilson. Please, for the love of God, man. Brandon Marsh is an automatic out right now. Sit him.
I'd like to see more Edmundo Sosa and Weston Wilson in general. So Max Fried, again, who's allowed 13 runs and is in the last 13 2/3 innings since coming off the IL with that left arm stiffness or soreness, probably will have an all-star night tonight, just like we saw last night with Reynaldo Lopez. So that being said, I am not optimistic really either, but I feel like they have to win this series. They know what's at stake here. I could see this being a high-scoring game, to be honest. Maybe it's
From
like
who,
a 7-5.
Do you actually believe that, though? Yeah.
I'm going to go 7-4. I don't want to say that the Phillies are going to lose, but I feel like they're going to disappoint us again. But we'll see. We shall see. Anything could happen. Unfortunately, it's not even easy to predict these days. So that'll do it for us here on PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365. Let's hope tonight is a great night for the Phillies, that Aaron Nola gets things started off on the right foot.
Probably
I know Bob C in the chat is saying Phils win 5-3 tonight. I could see them scoring some runs. That's why I'm like 7-4 is a little high, but I could see a high-scoring game if they can get after Max Fried early and get feeling good. Hopefully you guys are feeling good by the end of the night, and we're talking about a Phillies win. We'll be back live tomorrow for more on our show, pregame show, watch-along, postgame show coming your way here on Roku, Twitter, YouTube, and, of course, when you're listening later on podcast platforms. For Tyler, Jamie, myself, Renee, thanks so much for tuning in to us here today on PHLY Phillies podcast. We will see you guys next time for more live, hopefully talking about a Phillies win tomorrow. Bye, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.